I think the music is maybe too high. All right. Cool. ¿Qué onda, Arte Valor? ¿Cómo estás? Welcome everyone. Bienvenidos todos. Good to be back. Hadn't streamed for like a month or so. Was really busy with work. But now we're back. Different time slot, but it's okay. It's gonna be a chill stream today. Just working on like some creature stuff, some anatomy. All right. Can anyone please tell me if the music volume is like too loud or too low? I can be adjusting it. Okay. So what I'm gonna be working today is just gonna be concepting a creature, being very loose with the design. I'm trying to focus on like main shapes and stuff, and we'll go from there. So I have a bunch of references here. And I'm mainly gonna try and do like I'm sorry, quadruped mammal. Gracias, Sabrina. Thanks, Sean. Okay, so let's start. So right now, like lately, I've been using a lot of Sculptris Pro. We might use it later. I don't know. But for now, I just want to focus on like a main shapes, main volume. We're gonna be working with like Dynamesh, pretty low. So far, I don't really need like any detail whatsoever. And one thing I like about working on low res a lot is that it sort of forces you to, gives you a limit how much you can do. So what I'm gonna try and do is thinking how would a creature similar to the ones we have on Earth would have evolved in another planet, for example. So that's the premise. just have some fun with this. So I have an idea for the front legs. We'll see later. Thanks. It's just an old clay matte cup that I had, and I think I just messed with the hue. This is the material I use right now. For a long time, I was using this one, which is more lighter, I guess. Yeah, I have a bunch of references here on the other monitor. I have some anatomy references for animals, and basically I want to take like real life references, or like references from animals that actually exist, and then create something alien, so to speak. So I'm gonna be pulling from many different sources, I guess. So right now the most important thing is like trying to define a nice silhouette. Like it's really simple stuff. I find like this type of animals are pretty straightforward in like they can all share like a same base. I don't know how to explain that. The type of bodies, it's only in like the very specific stuff that you see the differences, but you can start from a pretty generic quadruped type of character, I guess. Thank you. I also like it. It's pretty chill to sculpt on. So the reason I'm not using Sculptris Pro right now, I might later, but for now I'm just focusing on getting the main shapes first. And I find like when you have some restrictions of topology, it forces you to adapt to that low resolution. So I prefer that sometimes. So there's many ways you could start a project like this. If you have a base mesh of like a dog or a horse or something, that's one way. Don't know yet if I want a tail or not. We'll leave it like open. Another way, just using C-spheres, for example. There's many different ways. Hey Luis. Saludos a Brasil. Same thing. So like this is a really just generic type of shape, I guess. Not much to it. Of course I want like exaggerated shapes a little bit more. This is supposed to be creature from another world, so we're gonna play with the shape a little bit more. But I still like to have real world references to base the design off of. And also another thing is I'm still collecting references as I keep working, because like you never know. Sometimes you get like another idea of doing something you hadn't thought of before. So you go get the references. And so there's a way to think about anatomy that I'm pretty sure isn't that how do I say this? I don't think that's like a super unknown thing, for example, but like thinking about comparative anatomy and how different species of animals share the same features, so to speak. It's really interesting in many ways, and I have reference here of like deers and dogs and other quadrupeds and cows and cats and rats. So we're gonna pull from each of those somewhat. Just trying to get the shapes, the proportions right, sorry. This is a tall animal. One thing I try to remember every time I start something is like, it's just be patient, because in the beginning everything looks really bad. You don't have the shapes, you don't have the correct proportions, so you're like figuring stuff out. You need to be patient for that. I'm gonna use the spheres to go insert the eyes. Kind of want like some herbivores have the eyes like more to the side, and some predators have the eyes more to the center. So I want to see if I can get like an in between. Still working on very low resolution. I actually still don't want to start subdividing too much. I want to work with this low res to see like what type of stuff I can come up with first. Sometimes it's good to limit oneself. There's like, for example, here, like there's not much resolution to work with. Like I can't really sculpt any detail here, so it's forcing me to just think about the main shapes. I'm just using 16, like it's really low. And it doesn't really matter the number. I try to just keep it like a multiple of, or like a factor of 2. I think for some reason that works. But you can literally use any number you want. worries. So I'm giving it a little bit of volume to avoid that like plain look. And I think I'm gonna give it like some big ears. Something like that. Actually, it's really cool. Sometimes to just like let go. Just remesh again. And I'm also gonna give it some horns, but the horn is gonna be another subtool. And then we'll try and figure out the design as we go along. How long does it take to create a creature from scratch? Well, it depends on a lot of things. If it's just like like for example an animal, like a realistic animal, usually like about a week maybe, depending on how realistic it needs to be. Like there's already like a lot of resources, base meshes, there's plenty of reference. If there's a creature like from scratch, usually less, because the like if it's just the design or something like that, I don't know, like I feel like a week, around a week for like a model and a sculpt maybe. Yeah, but it also depends on the project. Hey Mikael, thank you. We're figuring it out. So for this one, I'm gonna work also on low res, and I'm gonna work first on just one. I have an idea of what I want to do with the horns. So let's see if it works. Only the funny ones. I don't know, I've been doing a lot of like fake animals lately. It's fun. Thank you, Luis. Appreciate it. Yes, I have a very specific tip on what you can do to improve. If you want to improve in sculpting, try and do 2-hour sculpts every day for 2 weeks. Let's say, for example, like just set a reasonable time period. And if you can, if you don't have the time, try to do at least twice a week, 2 hours. And give yourself that time limit so you work on like big shapes first. Don't get distracted by details, and just try and get better at sculpting big shapes and silhouette and stuff like that. And if it's modeling, I would say like the same thing, but with like easy props. So you could start modeling like simple things like a cup, a computer mouse, a tire, I don't know, things like that. Also things that you can do with a certain time limit, and then just stop and look at it more like exercises. Maybe not even put them in your portfolio or stuff, but just that's a good way of iterating a lot, like repetition, and also with like intent or like purpose. So usually when you ask this question, like any tips on improving, it's really hard to answer because like it's very open. The question is really open. Um, but I think that tip can definitely work. Okay, so I'm just gonna mirror here and have them same subtool. Yep. And so here now we can move stuff around a little bit. Still pretty basic, but we are not done yet. I want to do something, I don't know if it will work, if it'll look good. And I keep getting the dynamic on. So I have no idea if this is a good idea or not. Sort of looked better in my mind, but I'm not hating it. I'm just not loving it. This detail. I don't know. Maybe if we exaggerate with the form a little bit more. After all, it's like an alien, so we are allowed to experiment, I guess. So for things like this, if you notice, I've only been using like 3 brushes. I'm using clay build-up, move, snake hook, and the usual like smooth and stuff like that. I still haven't really sculpted anything because I really want to focus on having good shapes in the beginning. I think kit bashing is really useful. I think it's really useful for when you have like large projects and you really need iteration fast. If you want more for like hero stuff, and what you would call hero, it's usually like main assets, either characters, creatures, or animals, or things like that. If it's like a main important character type of thing, I wouldn't rely too much on kit bash. More for like background stuff, but it's definitely really useful. There's also like kit bash for creatures. I really don't use any kit bash for organic stuff. I find it makes me not makes me feel like it's kind of pre-done. I don't know how to explain it. I prefer to like the organic stuff to do it myself, but I've used kit bash for hard surface stuff for sure. Do we leave this spine thing? Yeah, I think it sort of looks cool. It look kind of weird. What? Wait, why is the inflate brush inflating everything? What did I do? Let me reset the brush. What? Okay, this is really weird. There must be a setting. Thank you, Siba. Why is inflate? What? Okay, I've never seen that before. We'll figure it out. I was going for one tail, but actually like this. So sometimes you have accidents like this because I didn't pull straight, like straight to the back. And so it created like this bifurcation, but I like it, so it's staying. Sometimes things like this are pretty cool. Just go with it if it happens, I feel. So now I'm liking the spine thing a little bit more. Well, I have references here, but it's mostly like anatomy reference for animals, and I'm sort of like mixing stuff up. I have like, for example, I have like bulls, wildebeest, deers, antelopes, rats, dogs, cats. I'm pretty sure the inflate stuff was a bug, because it's working fine now. Okay, we're gonna be using sculptures pretty soon. Jump into sculptures mode pretty soon. And I'll maybe, okay, I have an idea. We're actually going to delete the feet with a knife curve. Hold on. What is this? Go away. And then we're just gonna we're gonna create like an insert mesh of the feet later, and then just create that. I think it's gonna be easier. So let's do that. So right now I wanted to use sculptures, but it's blocked, and so sometimes if it happens like this, what you should do is just make sure you don't have backface masking active. For some reason, Sculptures Pro doesn't work with backface masking. So just a quick tip, if it ever happens to you. Okay, so Sculptures Pro mode on, and what I'm gonna do is mostly, this is like the back of the paw, if you will, and then here in the front I'm just gonna extrude a couple of digits. I'm liking like the whimsical nature of it. I don't really care how accurate. I mean, I sort of do. It's just I'm not going for like ultra realistic stuff, if that makes sense. So cool thing about the sculpture is like you extrude or like you move with a mask, you get all these like weird resolution topology, and instead of, we're not using Dynamesh right now, so just like smooth with sculptures and you'll get resolution again. It's pretty easy. So this way it allows us to just work on the feet by themselves without having like the rest of the body to worry about. We'll just like merge them later. You can imagine like it looks like this. From below, I guess. Yeah, the new knife tool, it's pretty cool. I like it. Things keep getting easier to do now in ZBrush. Okay, so I'm going to insert some nails. Actually, yeah, let's go with this same sphere. Like I always prefer to work with spheres. It's really easy to manipulate, I feel. Some move brush with AccuCurve for this like pinching stuff. It doesn't really have to be symmetrical. I'm not going for that. Like if you see most animals, and this is like something I recently learned by just paying attention. Like most animals have really horrible feet and toes, and like if you see like amphibians and birds, they all have like twisted toes and twisted feet, and even a lot of mammals. So don't really mind if it's like crooked. Just go with it. Gonna start adding some of the secondary shapes to break up the main shape, give it a little more personality, I guess. So let's take the nail, just duplicate it here for this other toe. This one actually doesn't need to be like super thick. We'll just merge these two, merge down, okay, and then we'll mirror, merge into one subtool. That's it, and now we have like our feet And we need to merge these two again. Otherwise, if we create the brush, it will be like different insert meshes. So merge down again. We keep we keep the polygroups. So that's the important part. Can change them so it's like easier to see. And now let's go to brush, create, and then create insert mesh. Let's put new. And then when I go back to this, it's gonna work since it doesn't have like any subdivision levels yet. So I just take my latest brush and oh, so when I created it, I didn't actually think about the orientation, so it might be all weird when we insert it, but it's fine. The cool thing when you insert something is that it's always masked, the other part, so you can adjust it. And another cool tip or trick, or yeah, so like another cool trick is just create a bunch of like hands or feet or stuff like that for your creature, and then just have like a brush, in this case like a multi insert multi mesh, so you can have like different types of feet and hands and stuff like that. Hey Chuck, thank you, appreciate it, bro. And so right now the cool thing is we created that, and we can just remove the nails, for example, with a split hidden, and then we have the nails apart from the body. And so if we decide to dynamesh this, it's gonna merge. We're losing a little bit of, actually we're losing a lot of detail, so we can merge later. And another thing is that we can use the dynamesh with project, but I'll do it later because we're gonna start sculpting with Sculptris, so I'm just like gonna finish the back legs with this thing. First, and then we're gonna merge everything together. So like you see for this one, in this case I want this part to be larger. Or like longer, not larger, sorry. Just a little bit. I'm thinking this is like a big creature, and if you've seen like rhinos or elephants, they usually have like this thick talon supporting all the weight. So let's say we're gonna do like human scale type of thing. So let's go for the human male average. And then so this is definitely not the scale that I'm going for, but what we can do is rescale everything. Okay, well, let's do that. I'm gonna create a folder to resize the whole thing. I could do it with T-pose mesh, but I think it's easier just with a folder. So what I'm gonna do to create a folder with all the subtools already inside is what they call the pizza boxes. I'm just going to click this icon and make sure that all the subtools that I want are visible. So just make sure, I mean, should take all of this and then just new folder. Would you like to create a new folder containing these subtools? Just say yes. And let's type creature. So now I have a folder with the whole thing. And I can just take this one, transpose set, which I could have done already without the folder, but it's easier to have the folder for reference. So if we're thinking of scale, I'm thinking of like a size of a moose, like pretty large, but not actually like huge. Something like this would be my guess. This is a good like size for this creature. We'll just move the human to the side. So something like this is what I'm imagining in like this fictional universe sort of thing. Yeah, that's a good point. To be honest, I never really used GoC that much, if ever, between ZBrush and other 3D applications. I'm just gonna say there's like other options to make it faster. That's it. And I've used ZBrush Core Mini just once, like for a challenge, but it was actually pretty easy to work with. So I separated these nails. I'm gonna separate these ones here. Just make the same subtool, and then split hidden. And we can merge both front nails and back nails if we want, but I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. Hold on, I think I'm gonna adjust the size of the chat on the stream because I think it was like blocking a lot of the screen. But there you go. Yes, so what we can do to preserve this detail is to use Dynamesh with project. So I'm gonna do that. I'm sorry. Geometry, it's on geometry, Dynamesh. You can set the resolution here. I'm gonna put like more. We were using 16, but let's go to 64. And then just hit click project. And it's going to save most of the detail, or try to at least. And so we go Dynamesh. It's taking a little bit. And there you go. Now we have all this merged. It kept the subtools, I mean the polygroups, which is fine. We don't really need that much. So I'm gonna turn off the human for now. And I'm just gonna concentrate on this guy. And now we're gonna turn on Sculptress. So now we have Sculptress. Now we can start like doing, I don't know, like detailing stuff. So actually the mesh is pretty dense. So what happened is, okay, yeah, this is something to note. Since we had it originally like in a smaller scale, like the mesh was smaller and we were using 16, the resolution is scale dependent. So we increased it to 64, but we also increased like the size. So this went like to above 1 million, which is a lot. So I'm gonna go back to 16 and do another remesh. You don't want to have like your base mesh to be above 1.5 million for sure. Like that's too much. And also, I don't feel like there's enough detail yet to justify like doing a remesh. So we're not doing a remesh yet. Okay, just thinking. Let's be patient. Because that was like my mistake. I didn't. Yeah, this crashed. Hold on. No, it didn't crash. Cool. I didn't realize that it was gonna be like that dense. So let's do it again. Yeah, it's too much. Why is it? Okay, hold on. Just going back. I want this resolution, so let's just keep working on this resolution for now. Let's not do the remesh. We can, or like, I don't know what to do. I don't think this is actually, no, it's not merging. It looks like it is, but it's not actually merging. If you smooth, you can see. Okay, let's try again. Resolution, let's put like 8. Because this is larger, and also the problem is that we have projection, so I don't know how that is affecting the rest of the mesh, but let's see. With 8 it shouldn't be that bad. In theory it's lower than 16, but since the size of the character is larger, it affects the way the resolution is distributed across the model. Okay, so this was pretty much the same thing. I'm guessing it's because of the size. So what I'm gonna do actually is do the remesh, this one. I don't care. Barely any detail. Let's go. Remesh by union, then sculptors pro after. Okay, let me try it. After this ends. Actually, I didn't think about using the remesh by union. So this can be really useful for many reasons. Like you can get just like clean topology to work with, and if you want to just like subdivide and sculpt. But in this case, since we're going for like Sculptris Pro, doesn't really matter. We can keep this, and it's actually pretty good. We didn't have that much detail on the foot to begin with, so it's fine. Like I'm gonna keep this, and but yeah, another way would have been to use like remesh by union. the 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 thing here is to just like iterate fast enough so you can get like a mesh out or like a base, good enough base out quickly enough, and then just start working on that. So with the features, I'm gonna go up just a bit creative, like not gonna follow like a specific reference, go more by feel, I guess. Cool thing about Sculptris is like you don't have to worry about resolution at all. You already just can work on what you need. You need to pull the eyes further out. Further front. So like there. Realize I haven't saved, so I'm gonna save real quick. Yeah, Comics Legends, you're right. I should have done that probably. Wouldn't have needed to do the Z remesh. So this is like just a derpy sort of animal, but I don't want to make like an obvious deer type of thing, you know? So I'm gonna have to mix it up. So like I said before, I've been using Sculptris a lot recently, and kind of been warming up to it. It took me a long time to just make the full transition, because I was doing a lot of just straight up Dynamesh, but there's some really cool features, or like really cool things you can do. I'd rather say with Sculptris. I'm gonna twist the ears a little bit, so I'm just gonna mask and go with the gizmo, and then gonna do the deformers and go for twist. Oh, but it's not completely symmetrical, so let's do a geometry, modify topology. I need to put this back on my mirror and weld. Oh, I have it here. True. So this should work. Yeah, that's true. Like there's like 3 or 4, 5 different ways to do the same thing, depending on like how your brain works, I guess, which is pretty cool. Again, twist. Oh, okay. Turn off symmetry. No, but this is okay. I see. So another idea. I'm gonna switch to the regular transpose tool. Just need like a mask. just rotate this part. Just try and get like the flow of the lines as clear as possible, and just get the back face masking on again. So yeah, like big derpy ears, and then we start doing the face. So for the neck muscles, I'm doing like a mixture between a dog and a deer. Let's try and get like that type of anatomy going on. And I'm not really worried if using the sculptures is giving me like uneven resolution all over, because like it's just, I'm just gonna add as much resolution as I need to add the detail that I want. That's it. And so since right now I'm just focusing on getting like the main shapes, I mean the starting to build the secondary shapes, sorry. As I'm building it, I'm adding just the necessary resolution. I have my own hotkeys for the main brushes that I use, and I've been using that for like several years now, so it's I can almost like change to some of them without looking at the keyboard almost. But so I use like 7 or 8 basic brushes, and I have them all from 1 to 8. So like for me 1 is standard. So like I have standard, and then 2 is clay buildup with an alpha, and then alt 2 is clay buildup with a soft alpha. And most of the time I use the soft alpha, but sometimes you want the hard alpha stuff. And then 3 I have move, 4 I have damp standard, but sometimes I change this depending on what type of like knife brush I want, but most of the time I use damp standard. 5 I have the snake hook, 6 I have pinch, 7 is inflate, and 8 is trim dynamic, which is something that I don't use that often, but pretty like often enough. It's really cool to just like, it's not as strong as like an H polish, but lets you sort of, it's like a softer like knife type of thing where you can like scrape off volume. It's pretty cool. So building like the volume for this guy, having like the main muscles show. For this thing, I want to just like very dirty, just add like the spine. Oh, also like for some reason MoveBrush doesn't create new geometry. Doesn't work with Sculptures mode. But Snake Hook does. So if you like see this mesh, it's all dirty. But we can smooth. So if I would just move stuff with MoveBrush, it's not creating new geometry. But if I use the Snake Hook, it does. So like that's another reason to have different sort of brushes for different things. Those are the main ones I use. Like, so I used to have them on the interface, but I figure like if I already know the hotkeys and I use them all the time, why keep them there? So I took them off the interface, and I just have like these ones here, for example. Let's say I want to paint, just go to paint, or like smooth stronger, or the C modeler. Some other like brushes that I don't use as often, and then some alphas as well. These are cool for sculpting, for painting. I need to like fix this. It substituted all my alphas with the same one. I don't know what happened. For another time. So in a way, like even though there's a lot of tools all the time added in ZBrush, I find like just hand sculpting is really chill for me. I just like to go and use like a couple of brushes and just sculpt things around. It's mostly what I do in ZBrush. Although I'm learning a lot of the new things that were added recently, because I was away from, not away from ZBrush completely, but like was using a lot of other software for a while. Have to catch up. Hey Inversal, what's up? So we are doing, let's do some polygroups actually. So we have this one. Actually this one. So this is really useful for when you're working with anything organic. Just create like polygroups, and so it's easier to visualize. When Sculptor starts to have like performance issues, I do like I don't know if like it's even like a correct way to do it, but I just smooth. Like, so for example, I go to like, oh, I have too much resolution here, just let's reduce it a little bit. That's basically what I do. I know there's like the Tessimate and Tessellate and stuff. But I prefer to just do that because I feel like it's faster, more specific to just like go to the area you need. Just move that, you know. Just like the biceps. I don't have a lot of tips for hair actually. I don't really do much hair. Or I haven't done much hair in like a long time. So I know how to use what's the name of this thing? Fiber mesh. A little bit, but not like super. I mean, I can't survive. But I don't really have like any tips for hair. Sorry. Or unless like you want like very basic stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that. Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it. I love doing comparative anatomy. I love thinking about creatures and animals and play around. Trying not to be like too rigid with this thing with the spine. I might increase the... No, I think that's fine. I feel like the cool thing about studying comparative anatomy is that when you know how to mix things, it's really fun to just like add stuff like this, for example. So like here, for example, I would just like, oh, let's just smooth this a little bit and go back to a low res just for a while. Yeah, I agree. I used to be like super obsessed with detail when I was starting. I wanted to put like wrinkles and pores on every single thing. And then I realized that it's just a part of it. If you do it like with with like enough time and like a good art direction and stuff, you can have some amazing surfacing results. I just don't want that to be the focus of my work going forward. Like I feel like I can think more interesting things if I focus on like the main shapes first, and if it needs details you can add them later. Sorry. And also don't be afraid to throw in a couple human type of references here and there. Sometimes it mixes well with creatures, so you never know. Hey James, good night as well, wherever you are. It doesn't really matter the bottom part. This is a pretty dirty sketch. It's not like we're still figuring out the design, right? So if this was a more like advanced in the sense of like more finished design, I would say like okay, we can um, theory mesh and then subdivide a couple of times, a bunch of times, and start adding the detail accordingly. But since we're still like thinking about the design, it's not really a factor yet. Oh, hello, all the way to Jamaica, nice. So just adding like a bunch of folds around there. I really want the forearms, if you can call them that, to be really thin. Because if you see deers or like even dogs, they have really thin forearms and calves. But I kind of want like the feet and the hands to be a bit thicker and to be a bit like chubbier. So like I'm still not too worried about surface detail at all. Still kind of trying to get the shape as clean as possible. Can probably add like some spikes at the top. And let's do the hind legs a little bit. They're too underdeveloped, I would say. Whoa, what happened here? Why did we... I just want to see what happened. Oh, because we have... Whoa, this is so weird. Yeah, my polygroups aren't the same. That's something that sometimes happens when you're working sculptures. It's pretty dirty. You just like have to be mindful of that. I'm not being like the most careful today. It's been a really long day. I'm tired from work, so that's why I wanted to just do a chill stream. But it's fine, we'll survive. Like normally I would just like go ahead and start cleaning up all these things, but like I don't want the stream to be that boring, so we'll just move forward. It's okay. Like I want the focus on the stream to be like on the thinking about the anatomy, like the shape, right? Not too many technical stuff. So most quadrupeds have like a weird orientation of the hip, if you think about it. So this would be like the hip bones around here. You can get creative with this stuff if it's like a non-existent animal. And then you have two tails, or like a same tail, like bifurcating. So remember, when we're using backface masking, sculptures isn't active, but I'm giving volume to this area without so first, because I want to conserve this shape. So I was thinking, like, imagine, you know how like whales and dolphins and those types of animals, like These are supposed to be like the hind legs that got fused into a tail. Well, now we just do the tail. Let's turn on back face masking. I tried to, but it was still really dense. So what I did was just like a really simple C remesh. And after that I just started with Sculptris. So it doesn't retain any of the clean topology that it did before, but it's fine. So now I'm just trying to give a more clean shape to everything. Making this like feel like a realistic alive creature. Not too thick, not too thin. Like have the hips and the legs be correctly proportioned, you know, stuff like that. Hey, Miami, nice. Hope I can visit Miami someday.
Remember all the happy times we had?
I'm just adding a bit more definition to the nose.
Very much alike. Remember all the happy times we had?
I'm going for a sort of, I mean, obviously it isn't realistic because it's like a chimera sort of thing, like a mixture of a lot of different animals. But I'm going for a more like grounded in reality sort of look. So I want to imagine like if this creature actually existed, it would make sense. Like physically and like organically. So I'm not adding a bunch of super crazy stuff. But I mean, I feel like this curve, for example, and having the spine show up, it's crazy enough. I kind of like it. So the hind legs have to be a bit different because they can have the same curvature as the front ones, and we need to adjust the heel. So I feel like I shouldn't. I'm gonna say that. I feel like I'm repeating myself every time I say this, but I try to remember that there might be someone watching me for the first time, or like someone who hasn't ever learned this stuff. So even though I feel like it's like pretty, how to say it, like common knowledge by now, I still want to point out that in quadrupeds, most animals that are walking on four legs are actually distributing the weight on their toes or like their fingers. So if you think about this, this would be like their shoulders, and then this would be like the elbow. So this is the wrist of the animal, and this would be like the palm of the hand. So all the weight is distributed mostly on the toes. Same thing here, like this is the hip, which would be like the shoulder, and then this is the knee, which would be like the elbow, and then the heel would be the wrist. And so something interesting happens when you study like quadrupeds, because you see how these are like mirrored, like the elbows and the knees are pointing inwards. So this means that the bicep, in this case this is like a sort of bicep thing, is the equivalent of the hamstring muscle. Because when the bicep pulls, the arm raises, like in humans it's the same thing. And like when the what's the name of this thing? When the hamstring pulls, it's the same thing. So imagine like legs and arms are actually like mirrored. In humans, it's harder to see because like the shape is morphed, and so it doesn't, you can't really see the mirroring of the limbs as clear as with this, but keep that in mind. Leg is like a backwards arm and vice versa, or like a mirrored, I would say is like a more accurate way of stating it. Hey Arthur, what's up? So just adding more definition to the back legs. And this is an approach that I really like. I don't know actually if like consciously this is what artists like Terrell Whitlatch do, like if that's her thought process. But I like to imagine that it sort of is, because every time I see her designs, I feel like she takes things that already exist and just like really knows how to merge them and combine them. I really like her work, so I'm sort of trying to do the same here. I mean, at least that is like my thought process as I'm working on this. I don't know actually, and I would imagine if there is, it's like dependent on species. Like it's not the same on dogs, for example, than on like deer. What is this geometry floating there? One thing I like to one way I like to approach this thing is as well is to just go by feel. I know this isn't like the best advice and it doesn't work for everyone. When I used to be a teacher, I would tell some of my students like, oh, just go by feel, like feel the shape, and they would get it. but others it didn't work like that. So depending on your like how your brain works, this might be a good tip or not. But sometimes just go by feel. And what I mean by this is just look at stuff. Like I really like for example, I don't like dogs. And I don't like pets in general, but I love watching animals. So I wouldn't play with a dog, but I would watch a dog, for example. So just like observe how they're built, like observe their anatomy, observe um, their proportions. And once you do that, like you realize like most quadrupeds, for example, have relatively thin forearms and calves compared to the upper part of the limbs. Most quadrupeds have a sort of curve to their spine. Most quadrupeds have like the head in certain position, like things like that, and then you can like if you know that stuff and you need to do like a horse or a dog or any other sort of quadruped, like you know the principles, you can do that, and you can even create like non-existent animals like this one because they all follow the same principles. So honestly, like one of the coolest things that I could have done, um, I would say like earlier on in my career was just study a lot of anatomy. I really like to study comparative anatomy, and I've been like really fascinated with how humans relate to animals in terms of like their anatomy. Been watching a lot of documentaries as well of like on great apes and primates, and it's sometimes like super creepy in a cool sort of way how much human like behavior and like anatomical features you can find in other species. I've said this like a lot of times before. I just find like putting animal heads on human bodies is just, in my opinion, it's just like lazy creature design. I'm not actually like trying to accuse anyone in particular. I don't have like anyone in mind. I just think this is like something really common that happens. To just like do a human body and put like a wolf's head or like a horse head. I feel like it's just like super lazy and doesn't take advantage of like all the possibilities of designing creatures. Because you can combine so many things. I'm going to make the spine a bit larger, actually. Something like that. So another cool tip, just check the silhouette from time to time. Grab this thumbnail thing, and just look at it, spin it around. Okay, so I have the perfect tip for you, Arthur. Um, if you want to make a werewolf, okay, I have like a couple of tips. Number one, don't do the thing that I just said. Don't do like just a wolf's head on a human body. I think that's negating a lot of what the werewolf as a creature is. because it's supposed to be like a complete metamorphosis. Like, I don't know. I mean, at least like in the lore of things. So one cool, like the first tip is that don't just do like a human body with an animal head. And tip number two, I would actually go and ahead and study dog and wolf anatomy. And if you do that, you will notice that one of like the most distinct things between dogs or like wolves and humans is that dogs don't have collarbones. They don't have this bone here. Their their arms are actually pointing, like their shoulder things are pointing downwards, like here. This is actually pretty close to what a dog anatomy looks like. So try and convey that in your design. Like maybe do the creature like a bipedal creature, like standing in two legs, but don't put the arms to the sides. Like maybe have them more towards the front in a weird position. Like wouldn't make sense for a human, but you would say like, oh, this creature can like sort of start walking or running in four legs. Be really careful if you're going to do the transition. Just remember like the knee is up here. Sometimes in some creatures it's like way up. Just have that in mind, like have your anatomical landmarks pretty well defined, and try and mix. So like if you're going to make a hand, like look at a dog's paw and then look at a human hand and try and make like an in-between, like imagine like a deformed human hand morphing into more of a paw sort of thing. I don't know, things like that. That's how I would approach the design of a creature like that, instead of just, oh, let's put a wolf's head on a human body and call it a day. I really don't like that. I feel like it's just a lot of potential wasted in creature design, and I get sad every time I see that. Yeah, go for it. Going to separate the horns a little bit more. I feel like they're too close to each other. Nice. Hey Luisa, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're liking it. So if you were making this for like a game or something, um, once the main shapes are like finalized, like once you like the silhouette, feel like this is cool, whatnot, you can start retopoing. If this is for VFX, same thing, you can do the retopo and then keep sculpting. So basically, we focus like on the main, on the first part of the process, which is just the sculpture and design process. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole thing because it's really free and unrestricted, I find. I'm probably going to make the feet even like thicker. So what I did in this case is just I'm going to do a transpose because I want to modify the nails together with the feet, and I find maybe having just like in this case the transpose would be the easiest thing. But let's see if it works because I don't really pay much attention how much resolution I have here. So that might be a factor to consider, actually. Hey Vicini, what's up? Hey Arthur, thank you so much. Good luck with your work. Thank you for stopping by. Take care. Alright, so we did the thing and now we can do the other thing. Let's turn off perspective for now. And so what I want to do first, just makes to make them larger or like longer. And maybe wider. Yeah, something like this. I'm actually gonna use the inflate without sculptures. You can also do that. Just gonna inflate this arms a little bit, like not too much. No, actually, I'm gonna do that after finishing the pose. So T pose, sub T, go back. Cool. And then maybe in a future session, if I continue working on this, maybe we can just add some crazy stuff, detail-wise. But like, I want you to imagine everything that we would add as detail is not going to modify the silhouette. That is the main thing that I'm actually, let's rotate it a little bit. That's like the main thing that I'm paying attention for right now. If it ever changes, it's not going to be like for much. The details shouldn't actually change the silhouette that much. The detail should only enhance what you have already in your main shapes. So that's why I really wanted to have like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a well-defined. Actually, I didn't like the shape of the tail like that. Yeah, well-defined silhouette, well-defined primary shapes, well-defined primary volumes, well-defined base, basically. That's what I was trying to say. Anyways, cool. Quick little lesson in sketching and anatomy and creatures, I guess. We're almost done. It was just like a really chill, simple stream for tonight. But I hope you guys enjoyed it and have had something interesting or new to learn that you didn't know before. If you want to check out my work or like connect or send me a message or whatever, I think the best way to reach me is like Facebook or Instagram or ArtStation. If you want to check my work or if you want to send me a message, feel free. I try to answer most of the messages. If I don't, it's usually because I'm busy, but I try to. And yeah, hope you guys liked it. You can apply this knowledge to pretty much any creature. Always look at the anatomy, try and learn some of the muscles, try and learn how things are called, but it's not necessary. Definitely pay attention to how things are built. When you look at animals, look at how they move. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm thinking that one thing would look cool if it had actual spines coming out of this thing, like from here, for example. Might do that later. For now, I'm gonna call this done for the time being, like the sketch part of it. I don't know if I will keep working on it later or not. Who knows? Maybe, maybe I will. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a day for now. Hope you guys liked it. I'm really tired. It was a long day, a really long day of work. So I'm gonna stop here for now. Send me a message if you want. If you just want to talk or have a question, feel free. And I'll be streaming again on the Pixologic channel on the... What date is it gonna be? On the 30th. So the last day of the month, I'll be here again. And yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Good night, everyone. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. And see you all on the next one.